If you were unfamiliar with the way Miu kept her lab, you would likely never suspect anything had transpired during the inventor's blackout. Miu, however, was intimately acquainted with the way she liked to keep her lab, and was almost in a state of panic.
The fucker moved my stuff! Where do they get off?
While it seemed to be organized, and rather well organized at that, Miu could see every hair out of place in her workshop, though it might have been more appropriate to say every hair that was now in place.
I work in organized chaos! Don't glare, that's a thing!
She spat to her two visitors.
I'm gonna have to spend a whole day trying to figure out all the shit they messed with!
Said visitors were the duo of Maki and Kaito. Kaito, for his part, seemed genuinely concerned about what happened in the lab. Maki was barely above a disaffected scowl, showcasing her ability to make it perfectly clear how little she truly cared for people's petty concerns in the face of imminent death.
If we can get on track here.
Maki chimed in.
When exactly did you pass out?
Miu scratched her head in contemplation.
I wasn't looking at a clock, but it was just after Kivo went into sleep mode. He said that'd be 45 minutes.
The body discovery announcement was around 12:45, Kaito recalled. And Kibo didn't wake up until closer to 12:50. If he was really asleep, he has a pretty solid alibi.
Assuming we can take him at his word.
Maki noted.
Well, he was out when I blacked out.
Miu shared.
I was looking right at him, so I don't think he was faking.
What bugs me is he said that he was running right when he woke up, Kaito pointed out. If you didn't do anything to him, then who did? Miu gulped.
Someone did stuff to him while he was unconscious?
Weren't you going to do that?
Maki asked.
Well, yeah, but that's like a doctor or something.
The inventor said, panic clear in her voice.
If they did stuff to him... Oh, you don't think they did stuff to me, do you?
I highly doubt that.
The folk caretaker claimed, her tone flat as a pancake. As to be expected, this did nothing to reassure Miu.
I gotta get to the bathroom. Stop, I gotta check.
As the inventor bolted out of the room, the two investigators turned their heads to follow her path, equally dumbfounded by what had just transpired. Kaito took it upon himself to ask the lingering question. Do I want to know what she just meant?
I know I don't.
Maki replied. So what do you think, Maki-roll? Do we believe her? Kaito wondered.
I wouldn't be sure. I don't think anyone else here could have done maintenance on Kibo. And she could easily be lying about how she keeps her lab.
The red-eyed girl explained. Yeah, I guess, but I don't know, Kaito countered. She doesn't really get anything out of lying about this. Wouldn't it be easier to just say she was doing maintenance the whole time?
Iruma is one of the many people here I've given up trying to understand.
Maki stated rather plainly. Who haven't you given up on trying to understand? The astronaut inquired. Maki considered this for a moment, realizing she wasn't going to be able to get out of answering.
Hoshi, I suppose. He's pretty cut and dry. Saihara's straightforward enough. I'm kind of blanking beyond that.
So you don't want to understand me? Kaito asked, feigning indignation. I'm hurt.
I choose to write off your stranger quirks as part of you being an idiot.
Maki made clear.
That pretty much covers it.
Hey, I promise you, I'm more than I let on, Kaito defended. When the chips are down, that's when I really shine.
The chips have been down twice now.
The twin-tailed girl shot back.
The first time you did next to nothing, and the second time you spent a good while defending the culprit, and lying to protect someone you knew nothing about.
Kaito offered a smirk. "You're welcome, by the way." Maki's eyes narrowed.
I didn't ask for your help.
"Then why'd you want to tag along with me?"
Like I said, I don't want you collapsing.
"So you're worried about me," Kaito joked. "I'm touched."
Do you want me to kill you?
Maki's voice caught in her throat. It had been so long since she let that phrase slip that it had finally broken through and found the light of day. She had done all she could to conceal her true self from her class, and now a simple slip of the tongue had brought out her killing intent. It went hand in hand with the expression, even if it was traditionally said in jest. Kaito's stunned look was doing nothing to reassure her. Jeez! Here it came, the accusations, the doubts, the underlying suspicion, the judgment. Maki steeled herself for how Kaito would respond to this verbal unveiling. "Maki-roll, you must really put the fear of God into those kids!" Wait, what? Seriously, I thought you weren't kidding for a second there. The astronaut was grinning ear to ear, seemingly having taken the question in stride. Without even Maki's attempt to brush off the inquiry as a joke, Kaito had taken it as such. She needed to capitalize on this.
Right. It can be a useful trick. Kids, they're rambunctious.
"Ain't it the truth?" Kaito said with a sigh. "Well, there's gotta be something else we can find. Maybe we should look somewhere else."
Agreed.
In her mind, Maki had escaped that situation by the skin of her teeth. She was quite thankful that Kaito was an idiot after all. Though, that didn't explain the small hint of a smile that snuck its way to her lips. Over the river and through the woods to Gontacha's lab we go! Kokichi's singing did nothing to buoy Shuichi's mood, nor did the two's newfound presence in Gonta's lab. Shuichi missed Gonta already, but even so, the inevitable downturn in the insect population of the school was more than welcome. "Is there a reason you brought us here?" Shuichi wondered. "I figured you might want a break," Kokichi explained. "Not having to put up with lying to the art club, or pretending you don't feel nervous around your actual friends." "Nervous?" "Of course! You're a bundle of nerves. You always are," the dictator proclaimed. "You pretend you're okay around Momoda-chan when you don't know if you're ready for a friendship that means anything. You pretend you trust Harukawa-chan when we both know you're still suspicious. And of course, you pretend you're not head over heels for Akamatsu-chan. It's fun to watch you squirm, but you deserve time off." "Just because I'm not great at social stuff doesn't mean... well..." Shuichi trailed off, searching for his point. "They're still my friends." "But aren't you better in this kind of situation?" Kokichi taunted. "Stuck with someone you know you can't trust? Trying to solve a mystery where you have to stand alone? It's easier that way." Shuichi narrowed his gaze, though ultimately turned away. You're trying to waste my time. I should just... Saihara-chan!" The detective turned back to look at Kokichi, who was carrying some kind of jar. "Is that a honey pot?" Shuichi inquired. "Mm-hmm. About half full," Kokichi confirmed. "But Gonta-kun brought Tojo-san a fresh batch just yesterday," the detective recounted, thrown by this discovery. "I'm no beekeeper, but I think it takes longer than that to make honey." "Well, we could check the hives," Kokichi suggested. The two boys looked to the ceiling where the hives hung. A sense of dread quickly overtook the both of them. Shuichi gulped. "I don't think that's a good idea." Yeah, forget I said that. The shorter boy hedged. The two backed out of the room slowly, hoping to avoid alerting any of the anthropods. Angie was hard at work in her own lab. She knew she wasn't much of an investigator, so she fell back on what she did know, and that was art. Art was the way God spoke to her. She conjured the images and figures God envisioned into physical form and delivered them onto the world at large. And with the trial coming up, she knew she needed to be in a proper mindset. And even so, she was interrupted. She sighed, but ultimately opened the door to see that it was Kibo. Oh, Kibo, did you need something? The robot walked in, his expression somewhat dour. Just making sure you're okay. You were probably closer to Gonta-kun than any of us, after all. Yeah, Angie lamented. Angie was trying to take her mind off it by finishing that painting of the club. Angie thinks Gonta would have wanted that. Kibo nodded. I agree, though I am curious. How do you intend to aid the investigation by doing this? The artist turned to look away from her friend. Angie doesn't think she'll be able to help. The best thing she can do is not let her sadness show. Kibo placed a hand on her shoulder. We will be fine. We will figure this out, I promise. Angie smiled. Thanks. Maybe I should make some more paint. Attention all students! Investigation time is over. Trial time is long overdue. Better head to the fountain if you know what's good for you. As the nearby monitor shut down, Angie groaned. Like for reals! Angie's still not done! Whatever, let's get going. Affirmative. As Angie took her leave, Kibo stayed for a moment. The mechanical student gazed upon the incomplete portrait and considered it briefly. A beeping sound went off in his head, signaling that what he had set out to do was complete. As I thought, he said to no one. The students gathered in the elevator as they made their way to the trial room. The fitness club had exchanged information, what little of it they had, as they steeled themselves for yet another exercise in emotional exhaustion. There's still so much I don't understand, Kaede thought. Why did Iruma-san and Tojo-san pass out? Did the culprit do that? And if they did, how did they get to both of them so quickly? All I can be sure of is this. Gonta-kun didn't deserve to die. Whoever did this needs to be brought to justice. I don't know what path will lead us to the truth, and I don't know what sort of truth we'll find. But I can't hold back. I need to face whatever awaits for us. I need to face this class trial! End of chapter 26.